Welcome, Dr. Gloria, or otherwise known as Dr. Gloria Chance, but we're going to go with Dr. Gloria. Welcome.
Hi there, how are you doing?
I'm doing much better now that I got a chance to see you and get to know you a little bit better. So thank you, first of all, for participating in our Leaders Who Care series, which really is about that leaders can actually care about people and what's going on and do even better in business and for their community. And by doing a little research on you and hearing about you, it sounds like you really do care.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I've been through a lot that, gave me the insight about how important caring is in human behavior and humanity in general.
Yeah, I'm with you. So why don't we start off, if you could just give us a little bit of who you are and your background, and then we'll chat more about it.
Okay, sure. So today I am what I call an imaginist. And because nobody knows what that is, I say that I'm a holistic psychologist and peak performance person. And, I have like a really insane background. I grew up poor in Brooklyn, the first person to go to college in my family. And when I went to college, ironically, I don't even think we had bank accounts or anything, but I ended up in bank. I first worked in healthcare and became a chief information officer, which is in the C-suite. Then I moved over to banking and also rose to the same, and then became the most powerful woman in banking by creating the first mobile app in banking, and did a whole bunch of creative stuff. And then I retired early and went back to get my doctorate to focus on creativity and the imagination.
That's amazing. You healthcare, banking, coaching, all sorts of stuff. I ask people a lot of times what their why is or purpose, and I really love that and I believe it, but I'm going to ask it in a little bit different way. So why do you do what you do?
I think a lot of it has to do with being a minority woman. I think that when having risen so high, and I was only one of 19 people and the only Black woman, 19 women in a company of maybe 200,000 plus or so. And so just going through that experience, I had no plans to do that. Everybody thought, oh my God, you're so smart. You did. And I'm like, I don't really care about this. And no one believed me. And so I ended up leaving because I didn't I am such a hard worker. I think you'll find as much as minority people of color get a bad rap of we don't want to work and we're lazy and all those things. The reality is that we have to do things 10 times more, as hard, as more better, all of those things. And so in doing that, and then just seeing that, I didn't think that the leaders that I've worked with, they were great people, but they were focused on the left brain, which is logical. Like everything was about no emotion, didn't seem to care, when in actuality they did, but that's how you're trained in many corporations. And so for me, I was creative and I used my imagination, and I liked having fun and bringing that in, and my teams flourished as a result. And so I wanted to understand how could I create a repeatable process around creativity and the imagination that would help other leaders become successful, be more open, so that not only would they thrive, but the people that worked with them would thrive also.
Yeah, I certainly can't say I can imagine what you went through, because I'm the opposite extreme of Black. I'm still working on just getting a tan, for God's sake. But I'm Jewish, so there's been some stuff there. So
yeah, exactly. Yeah, but you could be my brother.
Yeah, you can be my sister any day. I'm in. I can understand the corporate part of because I got my CPA and I was in accounting, and we were trained logic, and not creativity for the most part. So
Right.
I do get that. So with respect to that, you've seen, and I love this because you've got the corporate world, you've got the coaching world, and helping people. You've seen how long it's taken for leaders to become creative, to realize that aligning with social impact is actually a good thing for business.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good thing for attracting talent.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good thing for community. You've been engaged in, I guess, what you would call transformation all over the place.
Right.
Yep. Healthcare, banking, and people. And you've kind of answered this, but I'd love a little bit more of, what do you think differentiates you for real as one of the leaders who care?
And I would say I'm not a coach. I'm more a psychologist, which is different. And
Yeah.
one of the things that I look at human potential. So what makes me different is I literally want every individual to be better. And the way that we get better is by combining both sides of our brains. We have the logical side and we have the creative side, the left and right. And I really believe that holistically, when we do that, we bring our best selves to whatever we're doing. Additionally, not only does it help us think differently, it also helps us be healthier. So for example, managing stress, mindfulness, all of the things around like dreaming, possibilities, those are all on the right side of the brain. And they also create those positive endorphins and hormones that keep you healthy. And so there are a lot of benefits to that as well. So, I mean, I just, that's what differentiates me, that I want to, at the intersection of being human, I want us to use this in a broader way, because today we only use 20% or less of our creative mind. And right now we are moving or already into what is called the imagination age. And that is right after the digital age and before artificial intelligence, because we know when robots come, there's already job loss. There's going to be more job loss. And the only thing that separates humans from other animals and machines is their ability to imagine. And so we're going to have to increase our brain muscle so that we will be available for jobs that will be coming.
Yeah, no, it's brilliant. And not to mention our heart muscle at the same.
Oh yeah, well it's kind of connected, and that's what I think. Instead of trying to change people's behavior and changing sort of their approach to things, I believe if we can change the mind, then follows the heart and the behavior. Because a lot of times we think we kind of have the same thoughts all the time, because we have the same routine every day, right?
Right.
So we're not really trained to think outside of the box. It's just sort of like, okay, I do the same thing every day. Weekend kind of do something different, but it's the same as the weekend before.
Yeah, you're
so
right.
That's what I like to get in the way of.
Yeah, I love that. I guess it's kind of like the Senator Congressman John Lewis that would talk about good trouble.
Good trouble. The same thing just popped in my mind too, right? I do like to create good trouble for people. But you know what is fascinating to me? It's really hard for people to get out of the mindset of just thinking logically or being rigid. Very difficult.
Well, especially I find it now with people being at home so much, you become even more routine-ish, and people forget. I've seen it a million times already. People forget what day it is. I on Saturday morning, I make sure I put on my flip-flops to know it's Saturday, basically.
I love that. Yeah, I have to make sure that, because I have this closet full of 100,000 things, but now I only want to wear like 2 of them, right? So I have to make sure that I rotate appropriately.
Exactly. I know the feeling. It also saves on washing. But that's
it really does. Yeah, there are a lot of benefits for sure.
Well, a couple of things I like that you said there. First of all, the brain is trained to protect us and is generally more negative because it is protecting. That falls totally in line with what you're talking about, thinking out of the box. But my grandparents, I'm sure yours too, always used to say, with a Kiev accent from Russia, they always used to say, as long as you have your health, that's the most important thing. And then they said, and then there's education, obviously, but and it wasn't a line or a slogan because of everything they went through, immigrants and whatnot. That was for real. They knew that was for real. And so to your point, technology is zooming. Actually, Fifth Element was named after the Fifth Industrial Revolution so that the human part would be overseeing the Fourth Industrial Revolution of the AI technology part. Those are the point about imagination and human beings. But so you got the speed of technology, you got a pandemic. We thought we had our hands full just with that, which we did. Then you had the inevitable, thank God it's here, but it's all being thrown at the same time, the whole racial injustice and social justice. So Mother Nature is saying, basically doing like Cher did on Moonstruck. She snapped out of it when she smacked the guy.
Exactly.
So what's your view then on what I call, it's almost like an awakening because we've had time to think more. What's your view on how the future is going to look in terms of what our awareness is going to be working, playing, and in our community?
Oh gosh, that's such a loaded question, but a good one. It's scary. And not because of any of the things you mentioned, but it's because of our human behavior.
Hmm.
So, to your point, all these pandemics that we have are here to get us to become woke, right? As they say. We need to be more aware, more introspective. And that's where the fear is for me. People are afraid of themselves. People are, what I'm finding when I'm working with CEOs, I mostly work with CEOs and their leaders, is that they're afraid of this, sort of empathy and showing too much emotion and at work, when the reality is if about 40% of people now are depressed or have some type of anxiety because of all of these things, EAP and therapy is not going to be the answer for all of those things, because people should rightfully be stressed and anxious. So part of it is that leaders have to step in and gain tools that can help people adjust to the new normal. They don't have to become a psychologist or a social worker. It's part of emotional intelligence, understanding your emotions so that you can help understand other people's, especially people who you lead, so that then you can be in service to them. So I think that's going to be really important, but it's scary. And I don't know, I'm afraid of the wealth divide. As with all of the people being unemployed, a lot of those jobs won't be coming back. We don't have plans to retrain people. So people are going to suffer. The poor will get poorer, the rich will get richer, and then the middle is just going to be vacant or whatever.
Yeah, it goes back to, and I say this in a real serious way, not even flippantly. It goes back to that leaders really do have to care, and
Right.
of the people in their and in their community, not just in their company, but understanding that all the people in their company are a big part of the community. So you can do it through that, and to say the obvious thing, it's not just about money. You've got
No,
to.
it isn't. And right now, I don't see, and maybe I'm wrong, but I don't see the same type of caring that from corporations that was there when I was in corporations. I was taught that, right, community was everything. And you had to be out in the community doing community things, and all of that was tracked, and you were taught, and on and on. And so I think that that's missing. And the other thing, Mark, that's a little bit frightening to me, I have this thing that I do call a walk in my shoes. And it helps. I have a digital timeline that has all of the oppressive events that have happened from like 1400s until now.
Mhm.
And I go through a process, you choose it, then I get you to reenact that in a third person from that person's voice. So it's a diversity experience where you really actually get to walk in the shoes of someone else, and then you write a poem or a story or something about that experience, and you share it with the audience. So I'm going to be putting the output of that in a book, but I wanted to get white men to come. I was like, we really need to hear your voices because we don't hear it enough. I know you think about this stuff. I know it's scary, but it's been scary for all of us for a long time.
Yeah.
I was only, out of about 25 people that attended the event, I only had 4 white men. So I was happy about that, but I wanted more. I really wanted it to be, yeah, I'm actually going to be calling you or emailing you after this because right, I'm looking for people who can, because your voices right now, I think, are the most important because of the power structure. And not that we want to take away the power, we just need to start having the conversations, even if it's scary.
No, I think it's super exciting, and we will talk more about it because we got an initiative called Business for Peace. Walk a mile in someone else's shoes.
Oh, really?
And I do a lot of work in visualization too in our executive search practice, where I have people before they accept the job visualizing themselves working there, so they really feel what it's like. And some have said, you know what, I don't really want that. And
Good.
that's right on what you're doing. And yeah, I'm looking forward to that call because there's some
Okay.
exciting things you're talking about there. And I was with, this isn't a name drop thing because he's not a personal friend, but I was at an event of an initiative that Richard Branson started called 100% Human at Work, which we're involved in. So I had a chance to talk to him, and he said something related to what you said. He said, do you remember, Mark, when people used to say they're proud of where they work?
Mm-hmm.
And when we were kids, I heard that a lot. Now, it was a different era,
Right.
different thing
Right.
going on, but it can still happen. And that relates to what you do in the community because, and you know this, belonging is the number one thing by far, they say, that fills people's hearts and souls.
Oh, it does. I mean, right above survival. So in the hierarchy of needs, right, belonging is the second ladder, step in the ladder.
Yeah,
But at first we have to have food and shelter.
you do.
And that's the scary part of where we are right now.
Yeah. So talking about business leaders who care, what do you think their role should be now with respect to three aspects of well-being that I look at? There's the financial well-being, there's physical and mental well-being of their talent, and realizing that taking care of those will be good for their business and also good for the community.
Hmm. Yeah, I think that back to being holistic,
Hmm.
I think that leaders have to create a brain that's holistic, which means that they need to, they say the soft skills are the new hard skills today. And so when I work with companies in Silicon Valley, I want to pull my eyes out because all they want is, the logical, the engineering, all of those things. And, the fear is, well, we can't do emotions or we can't talk about that because that's related to personal life. But guess what? We're doing what I call work-life integration right now. We are mostly at home, sitting in our homes, and you know what? We can see your home. So that is, to me, that's way more personal than your emotions. Like, some people are taking calls with their headboard behind them, et cetera, right? So I think this concept of, again, shifting the mindset to say, how do I help people integrate? How do I create policies? How do I create guidance? Conversations about helping individuals integrate their work and life, which means that maybe we don't have 9 to 5, but, flexible schedules, the way you do collaboration shifts, all of those things, childcare. The biggest thing that trips me out about leaders right now is most of them who have kids are freaking out about the fact that their kids are at home and they have to teach them. I get it. They'd say to me, well, you don't have that, so it's not a big deal for you. But this is how I see it. And I always ask myself as a person and an individual, if I look at myself 10 years from now, 20 years from now, will I be proud of what I'm doing right now? And so if you have kids at home and you're frustrated, stressed out, you don't have time for them, you're actually impacting their psyche and their growth by being negative. And so I would take it as a gift to say, oh my God, I have this precious time that is fleeting. And I want to use that and figure out something in a creative way, how I can create this work-life integration so that my employees thrive because of it and my children or my family also gets a chance to say, wow, we got to spend more time together, and remember that as a legacy that I'm giving.
Yeah, you're so right on the money. The chance to, and your creativity comes and imagination comes into that too. You don't necessarily have to teach it exactly like it was taught. If you want, you can teach it a different way, then that can be great too.
Absolutely, because I think well, look, we all complain about the school system, and I hope that in all of the things that can be disrupted, that gets disrupted, because actually experiential learning is the best learning by doing, being in the experience. That's why traveling abroad is so important, and all of those things. So yeah, I think teaching kids how to plant, all those things, that's science, right? All of those things that you can actually do in real life, even math. If you don't like math, maybe, measuring something that you're building can help you understand, math a little better. So yeah.
Yeah, my kids had a principal once where the principal had been a professional baseball player, and then he got a degree in psychology and all sorts of things, and he was helping them with he was helping them, showing how geometry related to dancing related to how you perform in sports.
Exactly. And that's exactly what I do in my practice. I use a lot of creative modalities, performing arts, all of these things to help people get it. Because we're afraid of ourselves, it's easier to grow when you have this thing in the middle. It's almost like tricking the mind to say, okay, you're not really dancing or singing because you're bad at it. It's like, so getting people to get engaged, and before you know it, they're taken into this place again where they can grow without even realizing it, and realizing it's fun.
Yeah, this could actually be looked upon as either a biblical time, like one of my clients said, but it could also be looked at as an amazing time for unbelievable dramatic change for everybody. So
Well, yeah, I mean, it is certainly an existential crisis, right? It is a crisis where we're at a fork in the road, and we each individually get to choose where we go. But, you know, when you look at things like the Dark Ages and all of the historical things that happen after pandemics, I mean, there were countries that were wiped out, or half the populations were wiped out.
yeah.
But it actually, even in that trauma and that terror, it did create something new. And generally, that's what nature does for us. Nature is a part of the creative process, where something has to die in order to create something new.
And Mother Nature, if you will, is very wise. She knows exactly what she's doing.
Oh yeah, and if we take that stance, then we've been really bad, right? Because we're getting it all piled on. It's like, wow, who did we piss off? So
And just when it was safe to get back in the water, there were more sharks. Like
exactly, it was really like one of the worst movies ever, right? Like this horror movie that we can't seem to get out of.
but there is a reason for everything. And I promise not to
Exactly.
say this, it doesn't just happen by chance. There's a
Exactly.
reason, I think there is. And I think there's a reason that we met too. So we'll be doing some
Oh
definitely.
yeah, no, this I feel that too. Yeah.
So thank you so much for participating. I'm looking forward to the sequel. And
For sure. I appreciate it. Thank you so much for the time. It was a great conversation.
my pleasure.